So what this means is x equals I, right? So now if I solve for 0, then what I get is I get x minus I is equal to 0. Is that right? Then if I know that these travel in pairs, that must mean that x plus I is also a 0. Or x minus I is also a 0. So that means I have x plus I times x minus I times some real number times some real number, because it's a 4th degree polynomial. Are you guys with me so far? Now, because my leading coefficient is 1, that means that this term is x and this term is x. So what they want us to find are these, sort of. How do I go about doing that? Well, one thing I know is that if I multiply these two, I get x minus I squared, which is really what? X minus negative 1 or x plus 1. So that means that x plus 1 goes into this equation. Basically, we know that x plus 1 is going to go into it because we know that x minus I times x plus I times x times some number, or plus or minus some number, times x plus or minus some number equals all this stuff. So I'm going to attempt to divide this by x plus 1. And so I've got x to the 4th minus 4x squared, or 4x cubed, plus 2x. Could I do synthetic division on this? No. Does anybody know why? Because it's x squared and it's not just x. Okay? So to get x to the 4th power, I need to multiply by x squared. As I distribute that through, I get x to the 4th, and then plus x squared. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the opposite, so I'm going to subtract and then I'm going to subtract that. This kind of goes away. This becomes 0. I got to drop this down. This is negative 4x cubed. 2x squared minus x squared is just a positive 1x squared. And now I'm going to figure out what I need here. So if I put a negative 4x and I multiply it through, I get my negative 4x cubed and then minus 4x. But now here's a weird thing. I need to drop this down. Whoops. This was minus 4x plus 1, right? Yeah. So I need to drop this down to minus 4x, and then I got minus 4x. You guys see what I'm doing? When I when I add the opposite, those become positive, these cancel, and these cancel. Now I'm left with x squared. Guess what? Drop down this plus 1, plus 1. Is that right? Oops. So now watch this. Remember, so our solution is x squared, right, minus 4x. And then we take our remainder. This is our remainder. Or I could just multiply it in there. That's just going to be plus 1, isn't it? Is that right? Plus 1. Okay? So now what I'm saying is that this right here is this factor. Now I can't factor this because the factors of 1 is 1 times 1, at least in terms of integers, right? And there's no way that 1 plus 1, 1 minus 1, there's no way I can get negative 4. So now I got to use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to say x is equal to minus b, which is negative 4, so it becomes a positive 4, minus b squared. What's negative 4 squared? 16. Minus 4, what's a? A is the 1, so that's times 1. 2 over a, which is just 2. This is an 8. This is just 2. And so the 2's cancel. So you get all this stuff. This cancels with this. So you get x is equal to 2 plus or minus root 3. Okay. Now remember, that's what x equals. And since we guessed this one, we were given this one, which means it had the conjugate. So when you look at all that stuff, it's going to be, is it b? Yeah. Does that make sense, you guys?